It's nice to be back in Sydney. I was in Tassie this morning and we've only just got power back on down in the mine there. A couple of days ago, couldn't even get the guys from the mine back to the camp. So I had 200 guys stuck at the mine site, no food, no power, grumpy change of shift. But they've got the power back on now, and it's back in operation. Tasmania's a bit different, and I say that in a nice way, to a lot of mining operations in other parts of Australia. That area in particular has a long mining history, and the little towns around where where Renison is really depend on mining. If the mine shut down there, the towns die. There is pressure from NGOs which affects the operations there, but in general the community and the government is pretty friendly for mining. So I'll set a bit of context now, so I'll talk a little bit about MetalsX. I'm not going to talk, cautionary statement and disclaimer, you've all read those. MetalsX owns 50% of the mine down in Tassie. The other 50% is owned by a joint venture between Yunnan Tin, which is one of the largest tin producers in the world, PRC listed company, and another Hong Kong company called Greentech, which is a tin trading company. Having access to that level of technology from a partner who is one of the largest tin producers in the world is pretty valuable for our joint venture.
Rick, can I just get you to come up on the mic a little bit?
Bit better?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Small board, small company. I'm the only employee of MetalsX. Everything else is pushed down into the joint venture where it's paid for 50-50 by the joint venture partners. Other things we subcontract out. So all our financial services, CFO and everything is subbed out. A good experienced board, good mix of mining, stockbroking and construction experience. So easy to make decisions and easy to get things done. Our shareholder base, we favour a shareholder base who understands what our strategy is, which is to be a major tin producer and continue to grow tin production. Perhaps not the best company for some, but our aim is to use our funds to increase our tin production and have long-term sustainable tin production. We've just recommenced a buyback since we put out our results, and we've purchased about 4.5 million shares back, and we'll continue that buyback till we get up to our nominated target. Some financial highlights: significant amount of cash. Tin has been, I'm also involved in some gold operations, and I say the gold price is hiding a lot of people's sins. The tin price is certainly helping the tin producers generate a fair bit of cash, and it is allowing interest and investment into people who are trying to develop tin projects. Tin is the metal which is kind of the forgotten battery mineral. It's a shame Australia hasn't put it on its critical minerals list. It's put it on its strategic list. A lot of other countries have put it on the strategic minerals list. There is a need to push the government to reconsider that, because we are one of the few tin producers in jurisdictions which are safe and clean. Our stock price tends to track the tin price. You can get a pretty good correlation on that. Our long-term forecasts for tin, we see a supply side shortage. We don't see a number of people being able to bring tin production into the market in the short term. Extra capacity coming on in the Congo, but nowhere else in the world is there projects which will be in production in the very near future. Bit of alluvial stuff can come back online in Indonesia, but Indonesia is complicated. Myanmar, still difficult to tell. Our partner, the Yunnan Tin, are probably the people who understand the most about Myanmar. They're still struggling to get reliable supply out of Myanmar. So supply side shortage, even with the downturn in some of the other base commodities, the sort of growing need for electrification and just more and more circuitry and everything should spur an increase in the demand for tin. So we're pretty confident that that tin price is going to remain high. As well as our main investment, which is the Renison mine in Tasmania, we still have an interest in Cyprium, who we sold the Nifty copper mine to. We've just renegotiated the convertible notes there, which I think is a pretty good deal for our shareholders. Our strategic view there is it's much better to let Cyprium succeed than it is to try to push them into receivership and call our notes. So we've been working with them to ensure that they have the opportunity to get that project into production, because that'll be good for our shareholders. Nico, we spun off the nickel cobalt and have retained a share ownership in that. Nickel, unfortunately, is suffering because of the production that's come into Indonesia. So it'll be a while before the nickel market is buoyant again, but it's a very good deposit, and we continue to support them. Small investment in a gold thing in the Tanami, and then just recently we bought a major share in First Tin. Quite excited about First Tin. I spend most of my time looking for acquisitions, and First Tin to us had the right balance of assets, advancement in permitting, and entry price. So that's a strategic investment for us, and we'll continue to look for other strategic investments to grow our portfolio of tin projects. Renison, it's the only listed tin producer in Australia, which makes it unique. There aren't a lot of listed tin producers in the world. Being in Australia with its lower political risk than some of the other places is a significant benefit. It's in a pretty good place. Even though I'm talking about losing power, the power price in Tasmania is very low, and it's almost all renewable. So our ESG reporting is pretty good and clean. Unfortunately, there's no premium for green tin. It's just how it goes. Yeah. Significant resource. Looking at where it is, it's in an old mining area. I spoke a little bit before about how that area is it's an historic mining town. It's across, I'm not a geologist, but there's a couple of main faults there that have been the sort of fluid conduit up from the granite underneath to bring to the tin up there, and it's been in operation, shut down when the tin price fell. It had been starved of investment for a long time. MetalsX has come back in, we refinanced it, and are really helping that operation now with significant additional capex and additional money for regional exploration. Creeping production, getting now above 10,000 tonnes of tin per annum, and with the development of the Area 5 underground, we should be able to maintain that for the majority of the mine life. We've also been quite fortunate in being able to top up the mine life every couple of years. So we would like to see a 10-year rolling mine life out in front of us, producing about 10,000 tonnes of tin from the existing operation. In recent times, we've done, again, the poor mine had been starved of exploration money. In the last couple of years, we've done a fair bit of work looking at the near mine exploration. We had the leases, but no one had spent any money drilling it. We've come up with this new area, Ringrose. It's only 700 metres away from existing underground workings, so it's pretty easy to access from underground, and very, very good grades. If you look at some of the grades, 4.5, nearly 30 metres at 4.5, significant intercepts across the whole region. So we'll be doing a fair bit of work now, drilling out this area and bringing it into our future mine plans. Again, because it's so close to the existing underground workings, we can get at this from underground with only very limited additional permitting. We'll only need permitting for the disturbances for the vent shafts. So this is a major focus for us to get this area further drilled out and then into our mine plans. Around Ringrose, there are a number of other significant areas where we've found in the soil sampling an indication of significant tin, and we're starting a sort of major regional phlegm survey across the region, followed up by downhole electromagnetic surveys as well to identify our next drilling targets. This area is full of tin. You know, the Stellar guys are down the road. This area has been historic tin mines for hundreds of years. There's a lot more tin in this region, but it just hasn't been explored. Okay, just a little bit more on where we're currently drilling there. Like to be able to bring the Ringrose area into production in about 2 years, and then we'd like to have another exploration target that we're drilling up and bringing into production following that. These are just the other areas that we're drilling, where we're doing the major phlegm survey around the edges, and more EM targets. So there's plenty of exploration work, and again, sadly, no one had spent any money on exploration there in the last 10 years. They were just drilling. The mine was completely starved of capex, which is a real disappointment. More drilling targets. The geos get all excited. Yeah. Again, more on our exploration. The phlegm surveys have identified huge conductors, but we don't know what they are yet until we drill them out. They're definitely sulfides, and they're very, very significant, but we have to spend the money to drill them out to actually understand if they contain tin. But very prospectus, and they're in our existing mining concessions, so there's very little additional work that'll be needed to bring these things into operation. The other thing that's been a major focus for us is we have probably 30 years or 40 years of tailings which have as much tin in them as some people are developing as projects. So there was a study done historically to run this through an ultrafine grinding, refloat, and then a pyrometallurgical process to recover the tin and the copper. That study was crap, but we've redone that now with people who actually understand pyrometallurgy and understand flotation. And we've come up with a new configuration. It'll produce a copper con, and we've now, just this week, looked at splitting the project into two and just building the low-grade concentrator at Renison and then using an existing pyrometallurgical facility at Yunnan Tin rather than building the pyrometallurgical facility in Tasmania. That gives us a shortcut to permitting because you're not having to permit, even though the gas treatment would be clean, to have a stack in the middle of the road that people drive to visit the Tarquine is not good for the development of a new project. So this will simplify the project significantly. We have an offtake agreement with Yunnan Tin to take the low-grade concentrate. So this gives us an ability to develop Rentails at a faster rate, a much lower capital cost, and an accelerated schedule. It also provides a model which can be used for other tin tailings in the region. And other tin, we're also looking at, there's some very significant tailing deposits in Bolivia, which if the Rentails works here, can be looked at to be developed in a similar flow sheet. It's quite a simple process. It's just ultrafine grinding, refloat, copper con, tin con, and then sell the tin con to China, who put it through one of their existing fumers. Produce approximately 7,000 to 8,000 additional tonnes of tin a year at about 60% of what our present costs are, because there's no mining. Approximate schedule, looking at having final investment decision end of next year. The discussions this week have been about whether we continue a traditional feasibility study or now we go straight to a FEED and look at accelerating it based on it being a much simpler project, just needing the concentrator. But I expect to start the NOI process next month, and that is likely to be the critical path. Look at our resources and reserves. Again, we've got a 10-year plus mine life, and with the near mine exploration and the continued in-mine exploration, we believe we can continue to top that up so that we maintain a 10-year mine life in front of us. That's the normal competent person statement at the end. And that's really MetalsX, guys. Simple strategy. Make a fair bit of cash, use that cash to further develop additional tin projects such that we can be one of the largest listed tin producers globally. Yep.
Now we've got time for a couple of questions.
We got them now. Yeah.
Can you hear me? So my question is this. Basically, the tin space has always been a proxy for the semiconductor space. So what would your argument be for why MetalsX is going to be a better exposure than Alphamin?
I've worked in the Congo and I've worked in Tasmania. Yeah.
Very similar?
Yeah. Well, yeah. They don't speak as much French in the pub in Tasmania. They're completely different. Alphamin is, honestly, they've got the best tin deposit in the world. You know, they've got the grades. It's just in a complicated location. You know, they have to ship up through. They can't even ship out of the Congo. They've got to ship. Congo can be pretty unstable, but it's a very good deposit. And they've got a simple flow sheet, so they're lucky. They've got the benefits of very simple metallurgy, very high-grade deposit, but in a complicated jurisdiction. You know, look at what's happened to some of the other players in the Congo in terms of, look at what's happened to Paul at First Quantum, look at the others who've suffered. When I was working down in the Congo, it was building a copper mine. The militia came and took all our trucks and committed a massacre, and then came back and gave us the trucks back.
Is that it, Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, story.
Yeah. So it's got political risk, but it's a bloody good deposit, and it's invest in both. If you're bullish on tin, I'd put money into both. Yeah.
I mean, you talked about green tin. How can you actually get a premium for green tin?
I don't know if you can, because we a lot of the people are producing concentrates that go off to a smelter, and to get the green tin, you also need the traceability. So to be able to say, you'd need the smelters to be batch processing your tin so that you had the traceability through the smelting process. Not many of the smelters are using significant renewable energy. They're still using coal and other things. But we're doing, with what we're producing, all of our power is from hydro. So we're doing as much as we can. But unfortunately, there just isn't a premium for green tin in the market. We don't get 1 cent more for our concentrate, even though we're making it with 100% renewable energy.
One more?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you for taking my question. I look at your presentation. You didn't publish the revenue, so I'm just wondering, what's your production? What's the gross margin now? And also, my second question is what is your customer base? Is that 100% export to China?
No, well, customer-based question. We just put out our half-yearly, so you can have a look at our revenues and things in the half-yearly. That's up on our last ASX announcement. We sell our tin to the smelters in Thailand and Malaysia and China. We've just each year we renew our offtake agreements. The smelter in Thailand wasn't very flexible this year, so we've reallocated their tin to Yunnan Tin. But strategically, we think it's important to have more than one customer. So we're selling our tin to the smelters in Malaysia and to Yunnan Tin.
Sorry, just one more question. I look at also you accumulated quite a bit of cash, $180 million, and you have no debt. So what is going to be the impact on your future shareholder return? Are you going to increase the dividend? Thank you.
Yep, okay. When we have franking credits, we'll relook at our dividend policy. At the moment, we still have at least a year, maybe a year and a half's accumulated tax losses. We are doing a buyback at the moment, which is a sort of de facto return to our shareholders. And we will use that money to develop the Rentails project and to invest in strategic tin projects like we've done in First Tin. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Cheers.